Good afternoon, students. We are going to discuss energy conservation opportunities in refrigeration and air conditioning system. Right? In last lecture, we have discussed about the air compressor system, and in this chapter, we have already discussed steam distribution, boiler efficiency, etc. Right? The main motto of this subject is we have to understand the energy conservation, right, in many of the fields. Right, in second chapter, these are the mechanical fields, mechanical systems. Right, so next bit is energy conservation in refrigeration and air conditioning. Right, see here I'll draw the diagram, very simple diagram for this. You have to draw this diagram in exam. This is high temperature reservoir. This is refrigerator work input. This is low temperature reservoir. This is heat rejected. Right, this is the diagram that you have already discussed refrigeration system in second year. See here, what is refrigeration and air conditioning? Refrigeration and air conditioning is used to cool products or a building environment. Right, so the refrigeration or air conditioning system transfer heat from cooler low energy reservoir to warmer high energy reservoir. Right, so air conditioning system, in this depending on the application, there are several options, combinations of air conditioning which are available for use. That first, air conditioning for machining or space, then split air conditioning, fan coil units in a larger system, and air handling units in a larger system. So energy efficiency opportunities in the air conditioning. Next bit is energy efficiency opportunities. In last lecture, we have discussed about the air compressor. For the efficient use of air compressor and for the energy conservation, dry air, location of the air compressor is useful. Like that, optimization of process of heat exchangers. First is optimization of a process heat exchanger. Right, see here, compressor, suction pressure, evaporator, set point. Right, for instant process cooling requirement of 15 degree would need chilled water at a lower temperature, but the range can vary from 6 degree to 10 degree. At chilled water of 10 degree, the refrigerant site temperature has lower, so that is about -5 degree to +5 degree. The refrigerant temperature determines the corresponding suction pressure of the refrigerant, right, which in turn determines the inlet duty conditions for the refrigerant compressor. So for applying the optimum minimum driving forces can help to reach highest possible suction pressure at a compressor, thereby minimum energy consumption. This requires proper sizing of heat transfer areas of process heat exchangers and evaporators as well the temperature requirement to the highest possible value. So this is the optimization of heat exchanger process. In order to optimize this, heat transfer coefficient on the refrigerant side can range about 14 to 200 watt per meter square Kelvin. So second point, we have to discuss maintenance of heat exchanger. Heat exchanger surface. See here, once compressor have been pushed, effective maintenance is to key the optimizing power consumption. Heat transfer can also be improved by ensuring proper separation of the lubrication oil and the refrigerant, timely defrosting of coils and increasing the velocity of the secondary coolant, right? Next, third is multi-stacking for efficiency. See here, multi-stacking for efficiency. Efficient compressor operation require that the compression ratio to be kept low to reduce discharge pressure and temperature. So for low temperature applications involve highest compression ratio, and for wide temperature range requirement it preferably and often economical to employ multi-stage reciprocating machines or centrifugal pump in a centrifugal compressor. So there are two types of multi-stacking system which are applicable to all types of compressor: compound and cascade. So with reciprocating and rotary compressor, two-stage compressor are preferably for low temperature for minus 20 degrees Celsius to minus 58 degrees Celsius, and with centrifugal machines for temperatures around minus 43 degrees Celsius. So in multi-stage operation, first stage compressor that size to meet the cooling load feeds into the suction, and second stage compressor after intercooling of the gap, a part of highest pressure liquid from the condenser is flashed and used to liquid subcooling. The second compressor therefore has to meet the load of evaporator and the flash gas. Then a single refrigerant is used in the system, and two compressors share the compression task equally. Therefore, combination of two compressors with low compression ratio can be provided with a high compression ratio. So for temperature in the range minus 46 degree to minus 101 degree Celsius, cascade system is preferably used. So in this two separate system using different refrigerants are connected. In a cascade system, two refrigerant. So in a compound system, only one refrigerant. Then fourth one is matching capacity of system load. See here, during part load operation, the evaporator temperature rises and the condenser temperature falls, effectively increasing the COP. But at the same time, deviation from the design operation point of and the fact that mechanical losses from great proportion of total power negate the effect of improved COP, resulting in the lower part and load efficiency. So therefore consideration of a part load operation is important because most of refrigeration applications have varying loads. The load may vary due to variation in temperature and process cooling needs. Matching refrigeration capacity to the load is a difficult exercise, requiring knowledge of compressor performance and variation in ambient conditions and detailed knowledge of the cooling load. Fifth one is capacity, control and energy efficiency. See here, the capacity of compressor is controlled in a number of ways. Capacity control of reciprocating compressor through cylinder uploading result in incremental modulation. In contrast, continuous modulation occurs in a centrifugal compressor through vane control and screw compressor through sliding valves. Therefore, temperature control required careful system design, usually when using reciprocating compressor in application with widely varying loads. So, next is multi-level refrigeration for plant needs. Multi-level refrigeration for plant needs. See here, this selection of refrigeration system also depends on the range of temperature required in the plant. For diverse applications requiring a wide range of temperatures, it is generally more economical to provide several package unit. So another advantages would be flexibility and reliability. The selection of package units could also be made for depending on distance at which cooling loads needs to be met. So package units at a load center reduce distribution losses in the system. Despite the advantage of this package unit, central plant generally have a lower power consumption since at the reduced load power consumption. And next is seventh is chilled water storage. See here, depending upon the nature of the load, it is economical to provide chilled water storage facility with very good cold insulation. Also, the storage facility can be fully filled to meet the process requirements, so that the chillers need not be operated continuously. This system is usually economical if small variation in temperature are acceptable. So this system has the added advantages of allowing the chillers to be operated at the periods of low electricity. So low tariff offered by some electric utilities for operation of night time can also be taken advantages of by using a storage facility. And added benefit is that lower ambient temperature at night, lower condenser temperature, and thereby increase in the COP. Here, if temperature variation cannot be tolerated, it may not be economical to provide storage facility, since the secondary coolant would have to be stored at a temperature much lower than required to provide for heat gain. The additional cost of cooling to lower temperature may offset the benefits. So the solution are case specific. For example, in some cases it may be possible to employ large heat exchanger at a lowest cost burden than low temperature chiller operation. To take advantage of this storage facility even when temperature variation are not acceptable, ice bank system which store ice rather than water are often economical. See here, next is system design features. This is also important part. See here, in overall plant design, adoption of good practices improves the energy efficiency significantly. Some areas for consideration are some. There is first, design of cooling towers with FRP impellers and film PVC drift eliminators, etc. Use of soft water to condenser in a place of raw water. Then use of economic insulation thickness on cold lines, heat exchanger. Then adoption of roof coating, cooling system, false ceiling, etc. Next, the adoption of energy efficient heat recovery device like air-to-air heat exchanger exchanger to pre-cool the fresh air, indirect heat exchanger, control of relative humidity. These are the points to remember for the system design. So next point is energy conservation opportunities in pumping system. Energy conservation opportunities in pumping system. See here, ensure adequate NPSH at a site of installation. Right, NPSH means net positive suction head. Ensure availability of basic instrument at pumps like pressure gauge, flow meters. Next, operate pumps near best efficiency point. Then modify pumping system and pump losses to minimize throttling. Next, adapt to wide load variation with variable speed drivers and sequence control of multiple units. Then stop running multiple pumps, add an auto start for an online spare or add a booster pump in the problem area. Next, in the pumping system, use booster pumps for small loads requiring higher pressure. Right? These are the points, energy conservation opportunity in the system. Also, increase fluid temperature differential to reduce pumping rates in case of heat exchanger. Then repair seals and packing to minimize water loss by dripping. Balance the system to minimize flow and reduce pump power requirement. Then avoid pumping head with a free fall right, or gravity. Use siphon effect for this. Then conduct water balance to minimize water consumption. And next one is avoid cooling water recirculation in DC set, air compressor, refrigeration system, cooling tower, feed water pumps, condenser pumps and process pumps. So this is all about the energy consumption in the energy conservation opportunities in the pumping system. In next lecture we are going to discuss energy conservation opportunities in the pumping system in fans and blowers. So friends, if you have any doubt, ask me on phone or refer our notes that I have already uploaded in our B group. So we will stop here. In next lecture we will discuss the fans and blowers. So thank you very much.